truck passing.
We are no elders. Elders got.
Okay, so we can do an introduction like I'm Martin, I'm dad, I have these how many children?
Even me, I'm dad.
Not my dad.
Your dad and me are my.
Baby, your love just makes me wanna fly, igniting my heart like fireworks, calming the storms but not the butterflies. Love, love, baby, your eyes are beautiful. Love, love, your smile.
Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Kitt Nyang'aya Kiarie. Today I'm joined by my husband and my dad, and they are going to be talking about fatherhood. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't be afraid to subscribe. It's completely free. In fact, the subscribe button should be called a follow button. So just follow on there, right?
That's a good point.
And like the video and hit the notification bell if you want to get information on when these videos drop. Okay, so we're talking about fatherhood today, and it's just going to be them in the frame. I hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hi everyone, my name is Martin Kiarie, Kitt's husband and father to Kendi and Keyo.
My name is Justice Nyang'aya, otherwise known as Chief. I'm Kitt's father. I have two other beautiful, equally beautiful daughters that are not here with us right now in this room. Yes, I am different from my dad right now because the context is completely different. When I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, 80s, the order of the day at that time was about discipline. And it was the discipline that was done by Cain. I am similar to my father, just about 20% around that, because I used Cain, but I also used talking. But I never shied away from Cain, and I don't think people should. Yeah, that is really the difference. But there are similarities in the way that you instill discipline. One has to use a rod. You spare it and you spoil the child. I think that maxim is still true to date.
So, the main factor that I'm different from my dad is first, my dad brought up me and my siblings, 5 kids, as a single father. So the fact that I have a wife already makes me very different, because there's support there, and there's duality to the responsibilities of being a father. In regards to, I feel I'm a bit more patient than my dad, in terms of, things that the kids would do, and, I force myself to be patient, so I don't immediately whiplash as my dad would have. But I find myself extremely similar in random occurrences, things that I do and I hadn't thought about it. I'm just doing it. One very clear memory is when we were in Mombasa and my kids were overeating, and I immediately got into the car and went to the nearest chemist and bought dewormers. And I immediately then remembered my dad doing the same thing for us. So yeah, I think in blink moments when I'm not realizing what I'm doing as a father, I'm exactly like my father. But consciously, based on my context, based on my family setup, I'm extremely different.
Yes, my dad was a very good dad, in the sense that was not always with us. We were 10 of us, and my father started off as a teacher. So us 3, first children will be with him, and the rest were with my mother. And then later on, he moved to Nairobi to work in Nairobi. So some of us will be with him in Nairobi, some of us will be at home. He worked hard. Looking back, and even then when I was, because I'm number 2, I would be able to see how my dad is providing for us in terms of school fee, but also in terms of sustenance. He worked very hard to be able to provide that. And that, I really respected him. Every month or month and a half, he would be coming back to the village to see the other children and to see us. During holidays, we'll be going to Dala. And I respect my dad a lot because he worked very, very hard to be able to take us through school, but to also provide for us. I don't think he was earning a lot of money, but with my mom's ingenuity and creativity, there was a lot of working together we were actually one of the really very well-fed and good-looking children because the clothes were not expensive, but they were very clean.
Do you agree with that, Martin? Is a good dad a dad who provides?
Yeah, so you asked whether my dad is
overall.
I think
was that a good dad?
Yeah, so if you asked me this question when I was a child, very likely the answer would have been no, it's the worst. But especially, I feel the older you become, the more you relate with your father. So my father passed on in 2005 when I was 20. So I haven't really my adult life, marriage, being a husband, being a father. Even being an entrepreneur to some extent, we haven't got to share that experience. But those are 3 roles, or rather 2 key roles, because my dad was a businessman, and I saw him do various businesses. He had a club, he had a logistics company, we used to do flower farming. So, my dad really taught me the principles of hard work. And what my dad taught me many things that still apply to my life today in terms of who you surround yourself with. He taught me the principle of least common denominator, that the pace of your movement will be determined by the least common denominator in your group. So surround yourself with, be a fool among kings, as he used to say. Then, he was really intelligent. So we used to take drives and he'd just drop nuggets of wisdom. There's a time he taught me about it doesn't matter what you do. Don't be fancy about you want a high-flying job, whatever it is, as long as you're the best at it. And the example he gave me was cleaning toilets. I remember he told me, Martin, if you're the best toilet cleaner in Nairobi, do you know how many toilets are in Nairobi? So, he just then taught me the principle of it doesn't matter what you want to do or your passion, just be committed to be the best at it, because if you're best, that should be good enough. He was really my hero, to be honest, because he brought up 5 children alone, running a business, and many people trying to take advantage of him, women here and there. But one thing we never didn't know is that he loved us. He, at every single opportunity, used to tell us how much he loved us in the most awkward ways, but he used to do it. So I think what I got from my father and why I appreciate him and miss him and respect him was his intelligence, his wisdom and work ethic, and then just sheer communication of love.
Okay.
Yes. I always wanted to be a dad. I think that is a very natural thing among Africans, that you are going to grow up to a certain age, you will want to get married. And when you get married, you will have children. And when you have children, you will have grandchildren. And when you have your grandchildren, you might even have your great-grandchildren. So that perpetuation of life is innate in people's worldview. So that is not anything that you bother sitting down with yourself and thinking about and calculating. You know it is a natural progression of life that you will be a dad. Yeah.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a dad. One of my biggest desires was to have a family and a good family. It's one of the things I even told Kitt when we first met me, what I wanted, a good family. I actually prescribed, you know, and I remember when I was in university in my second year, when I was creating what I wanted to become, not what I was running away from being. You know, because I knew I don't want to drink alcohol, I don't want to do these things, but I hadn't crafted what do I want. So it was more about me defining myself as a man, and I remember it was in my second year in university, and I defined myself in terms of who do I want to be as a husband, because we had already met, so I knew you were the one, so I already crafted that purpose. Then as a father, it was mainly about availability, because my dad was a really hard worker, but he'd often not be there. But I really cherished the few times we were together. So I told myself, you know, I really want to be a father, and the kind of father I want to be one that's available. That's all I had, only that word. But going into the Bible taught me a lot more, and there are actually two other words. In fact, if I look at every passage that has mentioned fatherhood in the Bible, they talk about two things. It's discipline and compassion. So that now has formed the triad of what I want to be as a father, or what I aspire to be: available, compassionate, and disciplined, and a disciplinarian.
I miss my dad. I think I did not have enough time being with him, because he was away from us working, or sometimes we'd be with him. But when then he retired, and I was working, then again we were apart. But every time that we met at home, there was so much that we were talking about. And I realized at that time that, you know, this is like a kindred spirit. There's so many things that I can still learn from him. And that was amazing, that there's so many things that he's also learning from me. That learning really never stops. So I think if he was still living today, like my father-in-law, he is still alive, we sit down and we talk. Sometimes we just talk about religious politics, or we talk about village politics, or we talk about religion, or we talk about children. But then when I watched him relating with my children when they were young, I loved that. I really admired that. I said, wow, if I can actually pick some of the nuggets from him, I can actually carry this away. Because when you have children, they really don't come with manuals. That's what I realized. And you learn on the go. And sometimes learning on the go means that you also listen and picking from your elders. And my father, therefore, as my father, will actually be giving me something that I can use in bringing up my children in a different way, because he will have learned, he will be sharing some of the some wisdom and learning as he had acquired them, distilled them, then said that this cannot work, this works. So I will really be enjoying just sitting down sometimes and having a conversation, or walking as we go somewhere, talking about context of things, as we think about them, as we live in them. He was a very good person to talk to. Yeah.
Would be Chomain and Mbuzi, for sure. And not just Chomain, we've gone to Ngong, we've bought the Doba, and come, and then he has sent me. Actually, by now he would be sending me. I'm not a child anymore, so I would have actually sent Keyo. And then we'd slaughter together, and we'd sit down, and he'd have his cold pilsner, and we'd just talk. And I think what I really like, what's reminiscent, what I wish, because I really miss my dad, obviously, but what I wish he could have experienced was, now my adult life, my wife, my children, my businesses, because he was he was an entrepreneur. I get a lot of my guts about business from him. So I think we'd be discussing business, how a certain client is behaving, and what I can do to grow the business, and he'd definitely also be in business, so we'd be discussing his business and what he's doing, looking at how we can support each other. That I think those would be the most vibrant discussions. Number 2 would be politics, why the government isn't, or what should be done, how can we do it. He was really someone of action, of when you discuss something, he wants to see what can we do to now do something about it. And it really reminds me, the question you've asked reminds me of one of the times that I remember. It's just a memory bubble that has come up. I built not in IB, I built a university management program on what was then Turbo Pascal programming language. And my dad at night woke up in the wee hours of the morning, and his office was near my room, and so I hear the noise and I go. When I go to the room, I find him there playing with the program, and like he has put the floppy disk or whatever flash disk, I think it was a flash disk, and he's playing. So this is how you enroll a student, this is how you read it, and he was just blown away about how I used to use technology and was so fascinated about technology. So I think he had this hardcore business mind, I had the technology mind. We'd be an empire. We'd be something to to recognize in
but
this.
But he will also be very proud of you.
Oh, for sure. He'd be very, very proud. And discussing a lot of that.
Yeah.
And he'd love you. He'd love the kids. I wish I could see him as a grandpa. Like, I wonder what he'd have been like. But yeah, so that's what we'll be discussing.
Yeah.
I think one, he'd say sure, or because there are many decisions I've made that I know he wouldn't have agreed with or weren't his way of life. But I think over that he would have been, this guy is sure with his decisions, and he'd be very proud.
So would he say, not you're proud?
Oh, about me. No, what he'd say about me.
Yeah.
He said
3 adjectives. So you proud. Are sure?
I am sure. Oh, I am. Oh, resilient. And loving.
Daddy?
Yes. A few times My father was not very full of praise and acknowledgement. But a few times he looked at something that I was doing, I was saying, or I was involved in, and he said, "You are smart." I don't know if he will continue saying that now. Yeah, but that is something that he said, not just once or twice. The other one that he said that I had a character that made sure that I start doing something because I am sure of it. It is just that I think through something before I do it. Yes. Then something that I think he liked, that he did not tell me that he liked about me, is my independence. Yes.
How do you know?
Because there are certain things that I did, and they will look at them and say, okay, but did you talk to some people about this? I said, no, I just thought about them. Yeah. And one of those is I made certain decisions. Then I discussed those with him later. And he said, "Oh, really? How did you arrive at this?" I said, "Well, I consulted, I thought, I realized, and you did that. That was really quite bold." And boldness is something that he also liked. One of those is I made a decision with your mom that I will leave teaching, because I trained as a teacher, and go into civil society. They said, "Yeah, why did you do that?" Because almost all the family members
Teachers
are thinking that you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, that was a bold move. I support you in that. Just know that I support you in that. So he talked about boldness, he talked about independence, talked about being smart and wise.
So the one thing I'd say that I had as a child,
Yes.
that I had independence or some form of it very early. So because my father was a single father, he'd go to work in the morning, leave us with the household, but we're 5 kids, and we had our bikes, and we were living deep in Limuru, in Chungamali. And my dad used to give me money when I do something good. And I remember, this was, this for as far as I remember. So I remember he gave me, way back then, I don't know what I did, he gave me 200 bob. And I went and I broke it into 10 shilling notes. Or he broke it, either it was 10 shilling notes. And he put it into a drawer next to his bed. And he said, "You're only allowed to take 10 shillings at any one time." So what I'd do is wake up, go to the drawer, take 10 shillings, get onto my bike. This is early in the morning. Get out of the gate and go to the kiosk and buy 5 bob worth of patco and 5 bob worth of ball gum. And then I'd wait for the mandazi guy.
And as at 10 cents a piece.
It wasn't 10 cents.
They were
it
10
was
cents.
50 or...
No, 10.
Yeah, but there were many. My pockets were full.
Many.
So that was food. That was food for the whole day. So I would wait for the mandazi guy, who I never used to talk to. It's just a guy I used to love following. And I would follow him. And I'd come back at 6 p.m. And
How old are you?
I was young.
Yeah.
I can't really place it.
Kendi's age?
But probably 7, 8.
Yeah.
Around there. And I would go. And I'd come back much later. And even when we were playing around, like I had a sense of independence where I make my own decisions, I damage my own body, even my brother. You know, like my dad would be called to fix things. There'd be little prevention. Whereas right now, especially because of my wife, there's a lot of preventative measures put in place so that no bodily damage or potential risk thereof happens. So yeah, I think that's the thing my kids have, the thing I had that my kids don't have.
Daddy, without throwing shade.
Okay. Yes. One of those is just communal, Mama.
Yeah.
What I had was the way family and community would be looking after me, and saying that no, you cannot do that. I will tell your father, or I will tell your mother, or I will tell your grandmother. Don't do that. That communal thing for me was an important asset in a child's growth, and especially to the boy child. Right now, although I have girls, which is easier to deal with because the society helps you bring them up, but I see children, boy child especially, that because their parents are not around, they only have the TV for wisdom, and the house manager to help it bring them up. You realize that the boy child are at a risk of just ruining themselves completely. I had the benefit of the community and the family people, family members, helping to bring me up.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to my children, where I have to be there. If I'm not there, then it's my wife or somebody else. So it is
very nuclear.
Yeah, so it is absolutely difficult times to bring up children right now, as opposed to how I was brought up.
I did. To you.
They're too many.
Wow.
You're going fast, by the way. You're going fast.
Yeah. Yes.
Embarrassing.
Yes. Very embarrassing. I was too creative with things. And one day I think I got home, and my first the experience was already embarrassing, but as a boy child, you get into, you find yourself into many of those things. And so my father was teaching in Kericho. It's a beautiful place. We had a house in the tea estate, and as boys we'll walk out of the tea estate and walk out to play. This time we went into the forest, because there are forests that are created. And because we needed to go across, there was a river. We can only walk on a log across or sit on it and move slowly to the end. And the reason why we were going there, because we saw a wild pawpaw across, so we were going to buy them. Not buy, sorry, just pick them. And as I was going, in the middle of the river. Now I was lying on the log, which was makeshift bridge. But you see, when you are lying on the log and you're moving, you don't think that you can actually tip and go round. And so now you are looking at the log up here, and you all your clothes and everything is in the water. And we were a few of us, maybe about 4 or 5 people. Okay, so we went out there, got the pawpaw, the wild pawpaw. I was wet, just walking back to the community, the estate, was bad enough. Because you are wet, and you are dirty, and you are carrying some wild pawpaw. So my father saw me and said, "What happened?" And I explained. And we had eaten some of those wild pawpaw. When you eat them, apparently, there are rashes on your mouth. And so my father really looked at this and said, "I had told you." And he will not waste time. And was disciplining me there. As the other boys were watching. Some of them just took off. You know, I mean, how to go back to your boys again and say, you know, I was not even beaten.
Yeah. I was only beaten a bit.
Yes. And now you're walking around with a rashed mouth because of the wild pawpaw. It was not ripe enough, and you create a rash on your mouth.
And you've been beaten.
Yeah, and you have been beaten.
Also, you're wet.
And you are wet. That was very, very embarrassing to me. Yeah, I mean, I was possibly about 7. Yeah, 7, maybe 8.
So, embarrassment is a choice, eh? So, first, let's normalize choosing embarrassment, not bad. My dad, I can't say, I don't know, like, things happened that should be embarrassing. Like I just told you, he came home one day frustrated that we used to compress loaves and dewormed all of us, like, and would freely tell anyone who wanted to know about it. You know, he would. There's so many things. My dad was just someone. He did have, like, I remember when walking in the hood with them boys. You know, you're there. Yeah. You're in your crew. Yeah. And he sees you, stops like, "Karaja, can you go home?" And you know, like, and then you're walking home and you tell your boys, "I'm choosing to go home." Yeah, my dad needs me. You know, like, so many things happened but because it was my dad, and also other people who were in my life knew Martin's dad. Like, there's a time we were playing video games at my house with my friends, and our gate opens and you hear, my dad had a Subaru, you hear the car driving. You know, you're turning to see the car, you turn back, all your friends have disappeared. So, you know, everyone knew Martin's dad is just not to be messed with. Because his fear of patience was very little. But, you know, I don't know, many of the embarrassing things were when I was alone with him. Like when I tried to lie that I was doing homework, but the book was upside down and I didn't recognize because I was pretending, and I was beaten badly. But one that I really, because it was in my adult life and really stood out was my girlfriend at the time was with her at home, and I'm editing the story to leave out the details.
Yes.
But we were with her in the house, and my dad needed me to be somewhere. So he came, he saw I'm with her, and said, "Can you leave?" And in summary, my girlfriend was chased out of the house so I can be accessible to be sent to the farm to do some work. So, yeah, but that was my dad. He just, if you don't like it, that's your problem, not his. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Embarrassment is a choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Answer is obvious.
You start.
I start.
Yeah.
Nyam chop. I will choma you, barbecue you some nyama. You think your life has come to an abrupt end. So yeah, that is my go-to.
Yeah.
Or breakfast. You know, English breakfast. Whether it's dinner, breakfast, dinner, or brunch, breakfast, lunch, or breakfast. That or nyam chop, we're good.
Daddy?
Oh, my specialty was in other things, although I know how to cook. Yeah.
So what's the best thing you've ever cooked?
Yeah. Scrambled eggs, mama. Ugali and sukuma wiki. And I was very proud of the skills that I had, because the scrambled eggs was, there was a little. Do you want?
I would like a recipe, please.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Please give the viewers a recipe.
Yes.
Okay.
Onions, spring onions, a bit of milk, a pinch of salt, and of course 2 or 3 tomatoes. And you don't make it dry. You allow it to simmer a little bit with that juice of milk on it. And then you cook small ugali that you know that you will finish. And sukuma wiki that has enough tomatoes and onions. There,
You're finished.
Lunch.
then of course maziwa mala is not
An option.
you don't leave it
It's
out.
mandatory.
It is mandatory. Put it there.
Attack.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
very good. Very good.
And your mother liked it. Yeah.
In fact,
I really like nyama choma when Martin makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was my reeling the girl in meal
Yeah.
was rice, onions, and tomatoes mixed up,
And Royco, don't forget.
and a dab of Royco.
Okay.
No, this was the thing Vivan and start. We used to do Royco.
Yeah.
A dab of Royco and you mix.
Yeah.
And then you need Dania.
Dania had to be there.
It had to be there. It is
Because
it has to be a balanced diet.
if it wasn't there, then why was it clean?
What is it there for?
Yeah.
That was the meal of the times.
I agree. I really like that food. Yeah.
Every day. Okay, I wouldn't want to necessarily go through what I went through.
Yeah.
My upbringing was extremely difficult.
But you have all the information you have now.
I have all the information I have. I have the power of choice that I have now and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Adulting is the ghetto. So, if I could be someone's baby for the rest of my life, happily.
Okay.
I think, yeah. No, sorry, Martin.
No, but you know, now when I said that, I was like, but I wouldn't have Keyo or Kendi. So, or you. So, I don't know. Actually, no. No. I think I'm happy with it. I'll reverse my answer.
Yes, I had a very free, happy life. There were challenges. But when I first had my first child, which was you, Mama,
Yes.
I realized that life will never be the same again. When I looked at the baby, there's something about the baby that makes you completely...
Everything shifts.
Everything shifts.
Yeah.
And it did for me.
Yeah.
And I realized it. I held her, she looked at me, and I realized, oh my goodness, because I was a very reckless person. Whatever I wanted to do,
You just wake up and do
I
it.
just wake up and do it. If I die, I die. Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now, when I saw this child in my hands,
Yes. You know you're no longer a man. You're now a father.
and now a father, and this child is mine. If she has to live and survive, I have to be alive. I have to be present. I have to be with her. It shifted that completely. And to date, when I'm looking at all of you, and I'm looking at Kendi, and I'm looking at Keyo, I'm saying, whatever beautiful things that I had when I was 7 years old, 8, 9, 10, that is done. This is the life that I want. Because it is beautiful, the children are yours, not even your parents, or even your neighbors, or even your uncles. They are yours, your own. So that, of course, takes you away from before and situates you squarely in the present, where memories are made of those. And now you are living the life
Yes.
and creating more memories
Yes.
for the future.
Yeah.
So for me, that is life well lived. This is the life that I think I was growing up to live.
Yep. And you know, if you're, I was thinking about it just now. There's the story you've just said. I'll use another story that I had someone say to really show the essence of that shift.
Yes.
There's a story I read. I can't remember the details, but I'll do the best I can. So this girl, Hein had a very good relationship, and the dad. She used to look at the dad like a god. He's the most powerful, strong, and everything man.
Yeah.
And this was, of course, in America during the times of racism and whatnot. So one time, some Caucasian people come to the house and start causing fracas. And the dad goes out the door, and she's like, now, Dad is going to show these people who the real boss here is.
Yeah.
And to her surprise, the dad talked to them very nicely, was very polite, very, alinyenyekea.
Yeah.
And that thing really bothered her.
Yeah.
She's like, these people are wrong. You're this mighty man.
Yes. Wasting his
wasting
potential.
your potential on riffraff. and when she asked him and confronted him about the thing, she's like, in that moment, yes, I was a man, but I remembered I'm also a father. And so the priority was to protect you at that point in time.
Wow, yes.
Not to necessarily show these guys a lesson.
Yes.
And I really resonate with that shift in your mind that changes once the children come.
Yes.
And what I find amazing about how God has set up our journey as men, from finding us our good thing with our wife, to then blessing us with children, is, I feel like I learned love, like the true essence of love, when I met Kitt. And then I'm learning how to lead and discipline
Yes.
better through my children. I'm also learning compassion, how to be really compassionate. Like you're constantly caring for someone's well-being, not because of not because of anything else, but because they're your child. I'm learning that through. So I feel like it's not just a responsibility. It's me becoming the man God destined for me to be by bringing these people into my life that teach me these principles of what a godly or a man is supposed to be.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Somebody once said that parenthood is not for faint-hearted. And this was said a very long time ago. It still rings true to me. That when you are ready and willing to bring up children into the world, what you need to do is to have a plan for your children. To know that children need patience, children need love, children need to be told
Discipline.
That they are wrong when they are wrong, and why they are wrong. You discipline them, and their self-worth must not be interfered with. If you do that, you need to know how to restore it, because that is really what is building the personality of this child to move into the world. These are the lessons that this child is going to use in the world as life skills. So as a dad, know that the world, the world view of this child starts from here. It is not going to start when they are in college. There is going to start now. And that needs to be inculcated right from birth. Walking with your children into the future. And there is nowhere where you stop being a parent. Your children still
will always be your children.
And say that is my dad and that's my mom. And I like the way that my children and you come to me and say, Dad, what do you think about this? We have already talked about what I think about certain things, but it looks like I'm still going to talk about what we think about tomorrow going forward. And that's why it never stops, and it forms a child's worldview, or self-esteem, dignity, respect, the positivity that they bring into their mind will all come into a crucible.
Correct.
And inform how they live going forward. So that's, for me, is a parting word.
Very good.
I'm going to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as you were talking, Dad, I realized as a father, maybe what we don't realize is we have such a big mantle and opportunity.
Yes.
To shape the thinking of, and not just the thinking, the being of men in society.
Absolutely.
Because many of the things you mentioned in terms of the worldview that a child adopts, it is from the man that they see in their life, principally, which is their father. So if you're an abusive father, your child will adopt the worldview that men are abusive. And child, I'm talking both genders, both girls and boys. So I just thought I'd touch on that, but I wanted to say that being a message to the dads, right? Allow me to use scripture. I want to highlight a couple, because when you asked about this, I went back to the scripture and I was reading like phrases that are around that. So let me read a couple just so you can get the understanding. So one here says, Psalm 103:13 says, as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. Proverbs 22:6 says, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not depart from it. 2 Samuel 7:14-15, I'll be a father to him and he'll be a son to me. When he does wrong, I'll discipline him in the usual ways, the pitfalls and obstacles of his mortal life, but I'll never remove my gracious love from him. Then they go on to talk about, right? So in essence, like for me, those two principles of discipline and compassion are your biggest opportunities as a father. But note that discipline is not correction, it's direction. It is, as you rightfully said, having a plan for your children of the worldview you want to bless them with, not just when they've done something wrong. Now you've been called as the disciplinarians. Actually giving children a direction, and compassion is of course caring and supporting when things go wrong, etc. But I want to emphasize that none of those things can be achieved if you're not available.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If you do, these women have cheated us. They've cheated us on this game because they have unfair advantage. They have a 9-month head start.
Yes.
We are there. They've started parenting,
and yet we're
there in the starting line waiting.
And then
waiting.
When the child is born,
9 months later we start running to catch up to.
Maybe nine months and a few months, because some of us realize that we are dad. When now the child is being given to us to carry. But you see, when the child is born, it is the mother that is shielding that child for a long time. So maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks.
So the intentional investment you have to make to being available.
Yes. Yes.
To give that direction, that compassion. My friend.
And again, you can actually be very successful in this world. But if you are not successful as a father, that comes to naught. Because you remember, which prophet was it that was a very, very good prophet, but a very, very bad father? His children will take things from people who have come to sacrifice.
Yes.
And that prophet is described as a very good prophet. Being a prophet is wonderful. But God punished him for being a bad father. He did not tell his children, doing this is bad. And the whole community were actually complaining about the children of this prophet. What are they doing? How are they behaving? This is bad. And so people now remember him, not for
the good prophecy,
not for being a good prophet, but people now remember him for being a bad father. Because that is the responsibility that we need to wear.
Yes, and there's no amount of possession that can can override.
No.
You will sleep badly. It doesn't matter which king size bed you're sleeping in.
Absolutely.
If your children are not in a good place.
Right now, the president of America, they think that people love him because he's going to make a good president. But looking behind, there is a blot somewhere because of fatherhood. Because his son just admitted that he has a drug problem. Now people are beginning to question, but to also think of his role as a father. Did he fail somewhere? If he fails as a father,
surely,
how is he going to?
Thanks so much, Dad, Martin. That was a really, really good conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And don't forget to subscribe or follow and like the video. Bye. Till next time.